Hello, today I'm going to be covering the practical usage of the tables function within Excel. First and foremost, the tables function is available within the Insert tab under the Tables group, and this will convert a range into a table. This essentially converts this range into something called a named range. For example, if I were to reference a field within this table, it is currently returning cell E5 to E26. However, if I were to convert this into a table first, and then I referenced this field, it instead returns me the name of the table and the name of the field. So essentially, this range now has a name through the combination of the name of the table and the field name. Now, there are several characteristics that a table has that is very useful. First, let's go into the Table Design tab that is available if you select a cell within the table. And we're going to change the name of the table from Table 1 into Test. As we just covered, the first characteristic of a table that is useful is that when you reference a cell within the table, it will return the named reference. So instead of cell E5 to E26, it is returning Test, which is the name of the table, and Quantity, which is the name of the field. This is very useful when auditing your formulas to ensure that you are properly referencing the right fields for your analysis. Additionally, when you add new data into a table, if I added this data right below within the table will also expand. And likewise, any formula that is referencing a specific field, for example, let's sum the revenue, which is 9,275. And if I added this data into the table below, you will notice that it increased by an additional 200 because of the new data that we've included. This is probably the biggest selling point of a table, which is the ability to process new information as you add new data into the table. This also adds another benefit that not a lot of people are too aware of, where certain functions that require two conditions or more will take up a lot of processing power within Excel the larger the references. However, by using tables, you're able to limit the range of the reference that you use within formulas, which reduces the size of your file by a significant amount. This allows your worksheet to operate efficiently and not experience a lot of slowdowns. But this is really something that becomes relevant once you begin building more complex worksheets, and it might not be an immediate concern right now. Well, now that we know what tables are and where they're used, let's go over a very short problem question. In this question, we need to generate an income statement for Shin Financials Inc. that excludes the items specified below, which are organized by a unique combination of division and the vendor. We then have to generate a list of the items excluded from the income statement, broken down by the division and vendor, and we also need to report the amount excluded. We have a tab called Income Statement where we need to capture the amounts, and then on to the right, we need to return the list of the items excluded. We have the source data, which are the transactions, and then index where we can build out any tables that we need to. The very first thing that we should do is bring in the actuals for Shin Financials Inc. based on the financial categories. And this is very simple. We're just going to sum ifs. And we can see that we have a net income of 4.2 mil. However, we have not excluded the items specified here yet. So within the index tab, I'm going to create a table with the fields that were provided. And let's copy over these items here as well. And then to convert it into a table, I'm just going to highlight the range that I want to convert. Go to Insert, click on the Tables function, and then specify that my table has headers because I highlighted division, vendor, and the reason fields as well. Press OK, and now I have my table. And I'm just going to change the color code to this, which is just something that I like to use. And now that we have a table with all the exclusions, I'm going to add another field over here, and I'm going to call this exclusions. And here what I'm going to do is identify transactions that we need to exclude from the income statement. So essentially, if the transaction is for a division and vendor specified here, I would return the text exclude over here. Let's also first change the name of the table from table2 to index. And then I'm going to countifs the division. And basically, if the result of the countifs function is greater or equal to 1, I want to return the text exclude, otherwise empty. And let's apply this across. And we now have an indicator for the transactions that we need to exclude. For example, inquiry resolution for the vendor Bell. We can see that this is investment related and we don't want to capture this within the income statement. So then within our SumIs function, we just have to add one more condition where the exclusions field is empty. And we can see that our net income increased about 400K. And because we also want to be able to audit the amounts excluded, we also want to return all the exclusions over here. And within our index table, because we know that these are all unique combinations, all we have to do is just reference these fields. And then for the vendor, instead of the division field, we want to return the vendor field. And then the reason, we also just want to return the reason field as well. And then for the amount, we just have to use another SumIfs. So then if we were to return the total, it is about 414K, which is the difference between this amount and the 4.18 mil that we saw before. And one more thing that I want to show is that later on, there might be additional exclusions that you have to factor. For example, let's assume that lead generation for Rogers needs to be excluded as well. Let's copy this over here. Just write wrong entity. And you'll notice that the amount actually increased further from 4.6 to 4.65, and it's because we excluded an additional 48K. Notice how this table already captured the new addition that I've included within the table, because this formula references the entire field, and as I add new data, the reference will also update. So a table becomes a very efficient tool to automate specific procedures as well. And with this, we have completed the case study. Now this is just the surface when it comes to tables. I would recommend getting familiar and use more tables in your future worksheets to efficiently store and bring in information for your analysis. I hope this video helped. This will be available for download on my website. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out or email me. Thank you and bye.